Let's talk about the conservative ideological overlap between the Korean 4B movement and the lesbian separatist movements of the 1960s and 70s. So lesbian separatism broadly was this idea that women should go live far away from men and only date each other, or if you're not a woman who's interested in women, just don't date anybody. And that would be a better society for women than one in which they lived with men. The Korean 4B movement, which translates to the Four No's, is a Korean feminist movement in which women reject dating, marrying, having sex with, or child-rearing with men. In both of these movements, a significant portion of the adherents were or are transphobic. They view trans women as infiltrators to the women's movement. They also viewed women in romantic partnerships with men, regardless of how that relationship was going, as traitors to women. I want to highlight the conservative similarities between these two movements because it shows that you cannot get to a liberatory politic from exclusion. We as women cannot liberate ourselves from patriarchy simply by excluding men, nor are we entitled to safety and comfort away from patriarchy at the expense of anti-patriarchal men who will still be suffering under patriarchy. And if instead of actually working to dismantle patriarchy, what we do is just turn our backs on all men, we're basically agreeing with patriarchy that there is some biological essentialist difference between the genders, which there isn't. Now, I know some people are going to watch this TikTok and say, "You said I have to date men now." I didn't say that. What TikTok did you just watch? Wasn't this one? What I am saying is that women can uphold patriarchy, men can oppose patriarchy, and no amount of sorting ourselves into silly little groups is going to free us from systemic oppression.
Many women have expressed interest in the 4B movement, but fail to recognize that it differs greatly from choice feminism, wherein anything you do is automatically kosher simply because you chose it or it is marketed as such. While I am happy to see an interest in actual radical feminism, and I support women who find it interesting and want to know more, I think it's important to be realistic. Most Western women are not going to actually do 4B because it requires discomfort, sacrifice, and change. At best, the election has caused American women to want to learn more about international feminist movements and will inspire some to make change in their lives. At worst, the movement will now be hated and targeted not only from misogynists within Korea, but by Western liberals who deem it transphobic or too radical, as any effective modern feminist movement inevitably is. As quoted from my previous video on the topic, the 4B movement, or Four No's, refers to a South Korean feminist movement which started in 2019. Those who take part in the movement renounce having sex with men, dating men, marrying men, or having children. Due to the widespread pushback against feminism, many participants remain anonymous and congregate online in relative privacy. To those in many other countries, adhering to the Four No's seems impossible or at least highly uncomfortable. It is difficult for those in Western countries to understand why so many women would willingly participate in giving up what Western women view as positives. The class consciousness and political organizing required to pull off this act stems from living in a misogynistic culture that does not leave room for liberal feminism, which centers more on feeling good than on actual empowerment. Quite simply, the difference between Korea's 4B movement and the West's postmodern liberal feminism is the undeniable need for liberation from the patriarchy and the drive to rebel against it, regardless of personal benefit from adhering to patriarchal demands. The 4B movement comes from a culture which is still overtly misogynistic, and which does not offer the same protections or chivalry that American culture does. Because misogyny is often diffused or less intense, many women are willing to compromise, engage in cognitive dissonance, or outright deny examples of misogyny from men in their lives. One woman claimed to break up with her Republican boyfriend after Trump won, to which I ask, why was it so impossible to do so before the election? It's not as if his morals or values changed in a single night. Another says she wants to date a man who's an ally. Others say that the movement is transphobic or that it's cultural appropriation to take part. These reactions illustrate exactly why the 4B movement is unlikely to take root in the U.S. American women are too caught up in chasing what feels good and calling it feminist to actually engage in activism, which is difficult, life-changing, and uncomfortable. Korean feminists do not have the privilege of pretending that biological sex does not matter.
There is a huge problem in South Korea that is not discussed enough among foreigners, people who are visiting South Korea. So if you are going to South Korea sometime soon, please watch this video. South Korea has a really huge problem with hidden cameras. Now, if you go into any single female bathroom, it might be the same for males, I don't know, you will find every single crevice in that bathroom plugged up with wet toilet paper. Women do this in South Korea to stop the possibility of a small hidden camera being able to film them, which in a lot of cases is usually broadcasted online for men to watch. This issue extends beyond toilets as well, so we're talking Airbnbs, hotel rooms, basically anywhere that is a private area. You run the risk of being exposed to hidden cameras. As a foreigner, what can you do? Well, I really recommend buying a hidden camera detector. You can find them on Amazon or other websites, and they help you detect hidden cameras. You find the light in the room and it'll show you, and then you can either report it or you can take it away. These hidden cameras are getting so ridiculously well disguised. You can find them hidden in fire alarm systems, clocks, alarm clocks. This can happen anywhere in the world. It's not just South Korea, but South Korea does have a very big problem with hidden cameras.
Bathrooms, changing rooms, and other private spaces are routinely bugged of hidden cameras. Women and girls are groped and assaulted on public transportation.
If you're going to South Korea soon, just beware that subway sexual assaults are on the rise. From January to August of 2023 alone, there were 784 cases of sexual assaults reported. The data shows over 500 cases of groping and unwanted contact, over 200 illicit filming, which is really concerning because the numbers are on track to exceed the cases reported last year, which was at 1,200. And specifically for illicit filming, the data shows that it is more prevalent in areas with young adults, areas known for bustling nightlife. So yeah, just be extra cautious and stay safe out there.
Women suspected of being feminist, in other words, merely having short hair, are subject to random violence.
In South Korea, short hair, like mine, is a symbol of feminist revolt. I'll tell you why. So this is me after getting my hair cut super short at a salon in Seoul this summer. And a lady who was watching me was like, "Aren't you worried your husband's not going to be attracted to you anymore because your hair's so short now?" Korea is one of the lowest ranking advanced economies when it comes to gender equality. A lot of it has to do with deeply entrenched misogyny and patriarchal expectations. South Korea has long had a vibrant feminist movement, but 2016 was a flashpoint when a young woman was by a man who said he was angry about being ignored by women. It led to a reckoning over the vulnerability of South Korean women, and they were emboldened to speak up against the patriarchy, misogyny, and sexual violence. The Me Too movement swept the world in 2018, and that same year the Escape the Corset movement began in South Korea. South Korean women rejected unreal K-beauty standards and the pressure to conform to what society considers beautiful. And a key symbol of beauty, according to Korean standards, is long flowing hair. And that's exactly what the Escape the Corset movement was challenging. I thought about this a lot when I went to the International Women's Day March in Seoul earlier this year. I saw so many women with bobs and pixie cuts, more than I ever saw in Seoul.
The expectation of motherhood and a lack of sex-based protections in the workplace leave many women unable to maintain or develop their careers. They do not face these issues because they identify as women, but because they are female. American liberal feminism prefers to pretend that femininity and womanhood are the same, and thus attempts to censor men who fetishize femininity as being equally, if not more, oppressed than women. The denial of the importance of sex and material reality leads to distraction. Instead of asking how participating in the 4B movement might benefit women, American liberal feminists are concerned with whether or not it's inclusive, as if inclusivity is the be-all end-all judgment of whether activism is good. While I encourage women to learn about other radical feminist movements and to consider implementing those guidelines into their lives, I think it's important to not claim to be part of the movement if you are unwilling to follow the rules. The label does not bend to your definition. Your personal experience is not more important than the collective experience which led to 4B. And by identifying as a participant of 4B without actually following the rules, you water down the definition and make it confusing to others who might be interested. This, dear viewers, is where we part. I've seen a lot of posts on Tumblr and on other social media that basically boils down to, I'm so excited that women are interested in 4B, it's going to be so great, and maybe I'm just a little bit tired, but I don't think that's the case. Americans don't do very well with long-form activism, like as a group, especially on social media. the way that trends move so quickly on TikTok means that like even social issues tend to be turned over pretty quickly. And on top of that, people are just talking out of their ass. A lot of people were upset with the election. Fine, I get that. But you are not going to give up dating, let alone like anything hard or like makeup or having long hair or any of this stuff. It's totally cool to be interested. It's great to be like, I'm going to be pickier with who I date. Great. Just don't lay claim to something that you're not actually going to do. And on top of all of that, I do worry that like I've seen the changes on Wikipedia where they automatically are starting to call it transphobic, as if that makes any sense in this context. I just worry that it's going to get villainized and there's going to be more support internationally of the anti-feminist guys in South Korea who end up complaining about basically, oh, women won't date us. It's frustrating. Anyhow, if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.